We're back with Contemporary Black Voices, where we have a special edition and a special guest with the Honorable Judge Yolanda T. Huff. And we're talking about the meet and greet event that's going to be at the Whitty on Saturday, and it's about judges. Unfortunately, folks, you can't get any tickets. It's sold out, and it's at the max right now, but I think it's very important for us to talk about. When we left off, we were talking about attorneys and practicing in any place, any city USA, and the difficulty sometimes that they have. You were talking about Hattie Briscoe having to start her own business. So, can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so in this booklet, Judge Zumba actually did a story about all the 30 judges. And this is like a 3 or 4 page story, right? And I was reading that we went all the way back as far as 1919 to get the first black lawyer in Bexar County. And I want to say it was a Behringer. Like he went away to law school, came back to Texas, was licensed. It's the story. I don't know if I'm getting the years correct. I want to say maybe 1935. Anyway, when he came back to practice, got licensed in the state of Texas, no one would rent to him an office so that he could open up his law office. And it took him a long while to get someone to rent to him. And people don't know this. They don't know that black lawyers could not join the San Antonio Bar Association.
Wow.
And that's why the San Antonio Black Lawyers Association got started, because we weren't allowed. I'm researching the history. I'm learning about all these giants that came before me. And I remember reading that it was a group along with the NAACP and Clarence McGowan. They were trying to really get the DA way back then to hire at least one black person to work in the DA's office. Wow. They didn't have any black DAs, and they were just trying to get one. So people were doing things back then, trying to further, like, look at me, like, right, I'm judge now. People were doing things to, like, I'm doing something right now for the next generation. Sure. People were doing things back there to help me as I sit here.
And I think the name you were talking about was Harry Bellinger.
Yes.
Yes, and a lot of people in San Antonio know the name of the Bellingers. They were very entrepreneurs in this area, and they had a lot of businesses. So people know that name. And I think the year was probably around 1919 when he first came about. Yeah. And for people, just for perspective, 1919 is just the year right before in Tulsa, Oklahoma, you had the Black Wall Street. So things were a little bit different in America during that time.
It was. It really was. And to hear, like, I love history. I'm a big history buff. And then we kind of went on to the next lawyer that came about. Just doing a little timeline all the way up to like now, and me just giving homage to all these attorneys and judges that came before me, the judges that are sitting on the bench now. It's an interesting history. I think that people are going to have they're going to learn a lot at this event on Saturday.
Is there anything that you know about Judge Cruz Shaw?
Yeah, I mean, I've known Will since he came out. I've been out practicing a while. I remember when he ran for D2, District 2. Then I remember he became associate judge, and when he ran for judge. Shaw is the first African-American man to sit on the district court bench. The first. Because there'd be a lot of firsts this Saturday. The first. We've never had an African-American. Now, Judge Carruthers is an associate judge, but Judge Shaw is an elected district court judge.
I think he's doing a great job in the juvenile court. He's doing a really good job. I was really surprised because I didn't know he could really do it, but Judge Shaw, I'm really proud of you. Really proud of you.
He's doing a good job.
Another one you can talk about is Jason Poet.
Yeah. So I remember Jason, when Jason first came here, I remember he joined the San Antonio Black Lawyers Association. We got him to speak. And I remember when he was in County Court 5, and then they appointed him to be the Fourth Court of Appeals. He didn't win the next round, but like a backstory to that is that while he was running for the Fourth Court of Appeals, we already knew at the courthouse that he was being courted and looked at to get a federal bench. And so, but that whole process is like 2 years. Like when a president taps someone to be a federal judge, that's a lifetime appointment. That whole process is like 2 years. So even though he knew that he was being looked at, that he's being recruited, or they wanted to appoint him, that whole process to get there was so long that he was still like at the same time parallel running to be on the Fourth Court of Appeals.
When Judge Pulliam first started, and I want to tell our viewers that, of course, he was appointed to the federal bench, and he's black, and he was appointed by Trump. He was appointed by Trump. And I can tell you, when he first started running, myself and Pastor Patrick Jones, we grilled this guy really, really hard. But he was somebody that really stuck by his convictions. He never denied or took a back seat or made black people think that they were less than anything. And I still consider him a friend to today. And he's been really great to know. And I'm glad that he was appointed to the bench.
Yeah, me too. I like that. He's so smart. He's so intelligent. If you get to know him, like that. I mean, I knew he was a Republican. That didn't really matter to me, really. And there's several judges that are being honored. Like I know that Wallace Jefferson, the first African American to sit on the Supreme Court for the state of Texas, became the chief justice for the Supreme Court of the state of Texas.
Oh, he
He's a
did.
Republican. There's another gentleman there, another black, but he was the first. And let's see, so Frank Pierce, I don't know if you guys remember him, Republican. So, it takes all diversity, it takes all kind, right? I actually, he's in Houston, still practicing, by the way, but he got appointed to, I want to say County Court 5 back in 1987. Back in 1987.
Hey, take the opportunity to tell us about some of the innovative things you have going on in your courtroom and about how important it is for the community to participate in your courtroom. You were saying some really interesting things off camera about the community not taking advantage of some of those things. And if you could talk about the advantage of participating in the program in your
Like
court.
the mental health court, for example?
Yes.
So, these programs, specialty courts, a lot of people don't know about. Specialty courts is something that came about in the judiciary around the late 80s. And I think they grew out of that sentiment of like, if you guys, the 80s, the sentiment in America then was build more prisons, lock them up for longer because drugs were a big thing, but lock these, throw away the key. So it was a law professor in Florida that said, us sending people away to prison for long terms is not working because we're sending them away for 10 years with a heroin addict. They're coming back as a heroin addict.
You need to find out what's doing.
What's really going on? How can we really help these, give them the tools and the treatment that they need to get them, keep them out of the judiciary? So they thought of these programs we call them treatment courts, specialty courts, use these terms interchangeably, meaning the same thing. So how do we treat the individual that's arrested? They're now a felony, a misdemeanor, they're in the judiciary, and they're addicted to crack, they're addicted to cocaine, meth, what have you. How do we treat this individual, keep them out of the judiciary?
Sure.
That's how
What I'd like to do, we're going to take a quick break, but I want to come back and talk about that a little bit more when we come back on the other side. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.